Good morning everyone, my name is Melissa M. Gabala and I'm your presenter for today. My topic will be managing the organization, managing resources, managing the environment. But before that, my objectives for today would be at the end of this lesson you will be able to first, determine how to manage resources and environment. Second, classify the different resources used in an organization. Third, identify the problems associated with the resources availability and utilization. And for the last one, differentiate internal and external environment that influences organizational decision making. But before that, let me define to you what is managing resources. So, it is the efficient and effective deployment of an organization's resources in the most efficient way possible, maximizing the utilization of available resources to achieve organizational goal. So, in using the resources, we must be effectively, we use it efficiently and also economically. One of the important role in managing the resources is the resource manager. He or she is in charge of ensuring that the resources required for a project are obtained, accounted for, and utilized. So, the resource manager has a crucial and big role in this managing of resources. Let me define to you the educational resources. So, it is referred to all human material, non-material, audiovisual, school environment, and community materials available in an academic environment to facilitate school administration and simplify the teaching and learning process. So, this includes all the fundamentals materials used in the school to make teaching very easy and learning more meaningful and comprehensive to the learners. So, education resources covers all those materials, either human or non-human. It could be classroom, the school, the teachers, the community involved with it. The first classification of education resources would be the material or the physical resources. So, these are the tangible resources that can easily be seen and observed in any institution. The physical resources include the structure, the machines, raw materials, vehicles, and other tools which can facilitate organizations, activities, and processes. So, in educational system, the physical resources would include the classroom, the lecture room, staff, offices, vehicles, health centers, library, laboratory, and so on, which directly or non-directly contribute to the achievement of goals. So, types of different types of maintenance in material and physical resource management. So, the first one is the preventive maintenance. Then the second is the routine maintenance. Third is emergency repairs, and then predictive maintenance. So what would be the preventive maintenance? How it could be done? So this is the type of the maintenance that carried out on school facilities to avoid breakdown and ensure optimal performance of the facility. So you need, as school leaders or the managers, you have to up-to-date the information about the facility if it is required to serve as a guide for the maintenance team. So, the second one is the routine maintenance. So, this is carried out periodically or as a schedule by the school agreed by the school managers, and then the facilities may be service monthly, quarterly, or even annually depending on the agreed schedule. So, school managers should comply with these guides to avoid breakdown of the equipment. And the third one is the emergency repairs. This is a very common in the management of school facilities in societies where maintenance culture is not well established. And the fourth one is the predictive maintenance. This involves the use of computer software to predict equipment failure based on age, user demand, and performance measures. Second classification of educational resources would be the financial resources. So these are the funds required for the smooth operations of a school and are regarded as the lifeblood of any system. In school administration, funds are necessary for the procurement of facilities, equipment, electronics, and communication gadgets needed for effective performance. So not only in the school but in all organization, even in a company, financial resources is important. So it is indeed more critical past which other factors of administrator are created and maintained and sustained. So apart from this, funds are needed to pay the salaries of the administrative, academic, and non-academic staff. So a robust financial allocation for school administration will not only enhance goals attainment but its sustainability. So plan and policy implementation are responsive to funds availability. Funds are needed for the acquisition of fixed and current assets and to settle the current liabilities and expenditures incurred in the course of administration. The financial management in schools covers such areas as the procurement of funds, their allocation, monitoring their use in the interest of accountability, and producing financial reports for the relevant stakeholders. So effective financial management ensures that all financial regulations and procedures are complied with. All financial transactions are recorded accurately. Adequate controls are in place to ensure that expenditures do not exceed income and only authorized expenditures are incurred. The role of the school administration in financial management. The ultimate accountability for the effective management of school finances lies with the office of the manager. As an educational manager, you should allocate funds to various activities in accordance with the budget, authorize the disbursement of school funds, administer school funds both lawfully and morally, and also determine a school budget in consultation with other stakeholders such as heads of departments, senior teachers, and the board of governors, and ensure that the school has the fund it needs and that those funds are used effectively and efficiently. One of the examples of the financial resources in school, usually in educational system in our government, which is DepEd, is spending the MOOE, or what we call the maintenance and other operating expenses. So MOOE refers to an expenditure category expense class for support to the operations of government agencies, such as expenses of supplies and materials, transportation and travel, utilities, water, power, etc., and the repairs, etc. For us to know what or how to utilize, we have the guidelines that I get from the internet and the memorandum of DepEd Order Number 8 Series of 2019, which is the guidelines on the direct release, use, monitoring, and reporting of maintenance and other expenses, MOOE allocations of the school. So this memo came from the DepEd Order Number 8 Series of 2019, provides the mechanisms, procedures, and standards for release, utilizations, liquidation, monitoring, and reporting of school MOOE of all public, elementary, and secondary schools nationwide. So the 08 Series of 2019 revokes the following DepEd orders, which is the DepEd Order Number 9 Series of 2018, and then the DepEd Order Number 13 Series 2016. So the DepEd order aims to provide guidance to all public schools on the deliberation, release, utilization, monitoring, and reporting of school MOOE and other funds managed by schools, and ensure timely and optimal use of school resources. So, where do we use the MOOE? So, the following funds shall no longer be downloaded from the central office and are now part of the school MOOE budget. So, the financial assistance should be to support special curricular programs in science, sports, arts, and special education. And also, the gulayan sa paaralan. So, we have the gardening and produces different vegetables or fruits in different schools, whether it is elementary or secondary. And then DepEd interconnectivity program and school management grants. MOOE can be used in the activities identified in the approved school improvement plan or SIP and specifically determined in the annual implementation plan or the AIP. So here are the activities that we need to spend the MOOE. So first, the graduation rites, moving up or closing ceremonies and recognition activities, minor repairs of facilities necessary for the upkeep of the schools, procurement of semi-expandable property items worth less than 15,000, including the technical, vocational, livelihood, and science classes consumables. MOOE should not be used for the procurement of the following. So first, the school seats and teachers' tables and chairs, except for those not procured, provided by the central, regional, or schools divisions offices. Second, textbooks. And third, the supplementary learning resources or the SLRS. What is the procedure in the implementation or the requirements for the school MOOE? First, concerned Department of the Budget and Management or the DBM offices release the allotments directly to the implementing units or the IUS through General Appropriations Act as allotment order or GAAO for budget items categorized as for comprehensive release FCR, and special allotment release order or we call this SARO for budget items withheld for later release or FLR, and the cash allocation corresponding to the allotments release are issued by the DBM direct to the modified disbursement scheme or MDS or sub-accounts being maintained by IUS and SDOs, and the school MOOE shall be valid for release and obligation for one fiscal year from January 1 to December 31. So it can be used for 1 year only. So how MOOE will be implemented? We have different types of 2 units, the implementing units and then the non-implementing units. The IUS or the implementing units, agency codes are authorized to open MDS sub-accounts in authorized government depository banks. Then the cash allocation are directly issued by the DBM to their respective MDS sub-accounts. Then IUS have personnel who handle accounting, budgeting, and cashiering functions and are required to maintain sets of books of accounts. And for the non-implementing units, non-IUS are covered by the MDS sub-accounts of the SDO. School MOE allocations are received in the form of cash advance from the respective SDOs. So non-IUS do not have their own financial staff. So schools receiving 20,000 and below monthly may get their MOE quarterly. How will it be reported? So reporting requirements for the school MOE. First, declare all the resources of funding at the school, which includes school MOE allocation, private donations, grants from development partners, funding support from local government units and other government agencies, and funding support from local stakeholders. The report shall include details on quantity and description for donations received in kind. So second, outline the intended utilization of the above-mentioned fund, and third, ensure that all the procurement used in the school funds conform to the provisions of Republic Act number 9184. Principals, school heads, teachers in charge shall post information on the sources, intended use, and actual utilization of school funds in the Transparency Board to be updated every 3 months. and then present the sources and uses of school funds to the stakeholders using the school report card in accordance with DO 44 series of 2015. And every 5th day of the following month, all SDOs are required to submit to their respective ROs the report on monthly status of school MOE cash advance and utilization, include the issues and challenges encountered. So, every 10th day naman of the following month, all ROs shall submit a consolidated report to the central office through the Accounting Division FS. So, it is important to have a transparency board and it should be updated. Don't forget, for every 3 months. So, the penalty of not following the orders, any debt and personal who will violate any provision of this order shall be dealt with administratively pursuant to DO 49 series of 2006, otherwise known as the revised rules of procedures of the Department of Education in administrative cases, without prejudice to other legal remedies available to the government. So the School Governance Council may prepare a report on any irregularity or violations of these implementing guidelines and should be filed to the proper disciplinary authority pursuant to DO 49 series of 2006. So here I prepared an example of computation of public schools MOE. So we have the formula. So the school's MOE is equals to fixed amount, which should be for the elementary is 40,000 and for the high school is 80,000. And then plus allowable amount multiplied by number of classrooms plus allowable amount multiplied by number of teachers and allowable amount multiplied by number of learners. So here are the breakdown of the computation. For example, for every classroom, we have 3,000 for elementary and high school naman is 6,000. For every teacher naman, for elementary, we have 4,000 each and then for high school, 8,000. For every learner, we have 200 for elementary and for high school is 400. Then for every graduating learner, for elementary school we have 250 pesos and for the high school is 250. So I gave an example here. So we have my example will be our school. So we are belong in high school, so the fixed amount would be 80,000 plus the allowable amount for high school for every classroom is 6,000. So we have 14 classroom. We have to multiply the 6,000 multiplied by 14 classroom and we have 84,000. And for the allowable amount for the teachers would be 8,000. And we have 52 teachers in our school. So I multiply it with 8,000 multiplied by 52 teachers, we have 416,000. And the allowable amount for the learners is 400 for high school. Multiplied by, we have 1,869 enrollees and we got 747,600 plus we have the graduating students, so 250 per graduating learners, so we get 100,000, a total of 1,427,600. So that's how to compute the public schools MOE. The third classification of education resources will be the time resources. Actually, it's not only in the education, in all organization, time is important. So, time is an infinite resource if not properly managed in an organization. it can have a negative impact on both employers and employees' productivity. Organizations should ensure that workers are well equipped to manage time in their duty. Time resource is most of the expensive of all resources due to its non-recoverable nature. So, we have the significance of time management. First, setting priorities and goals, general life improvement, reducing stress and negativity, productivity and performance, and also developing employees. So, in setting priorities and goals, so prioritizing and setting goals are very effective time management skills that can be practiced at work every day. So the concepts help in setting a scale of preference by identifying the tasks or workload that need to be done first before other schedules of lower importance. So it makes it easier to keep track of any due dates that are mandated for the accomplishment of any given task. So prioritizing and setting goals in a school system can assist the staff in becoming a more productive employee. The second one is the general life improvement. So another positive side effect of practicing time management is that it helps to improve work-life balance. So the skills that are learned and used at work can also translate into personal life improvement. Individuals will be better able to prioritize daily tasks, create a workable schedule for busy times, and also have some time to relax. A less hectic home life can help improve one's professional performance. So the third one is the reducing stress and negativity. Two things that can severely impact on work performance are stress and negativity. So practicing good time management techniques helps to reduce stress by keeping work on schedule and in good shape to meet approaching deadlines. So when a staff is less stressed, he or she is also less likely to feel negatively about job. Having a negative attitude of work can hurt one's career because employers want personnel who are enthusiastic about their work. The fourth one is productivity and performance. So, time management in the school environment increases productivity with higher focus on projects and timelines. Employees will find more efficient ways to complete tasks. So, also employees who have a hard time in finding solutions for completing tasks will seek help sooner instead of later. Employee performance will increase as a result of increased productivity. So the last one is developing employees. So developing employees, practicing good time management helps staff perform better at his job because he less likely to feel stress and pressure of bumping up against important deadlines. So leaders who are strong at managing time will have the ability to schedule the right tasks with the right time frame. So also leaders can make sure that their employees understand the tasks are expected to be completed and without excuses. The fourth classification of educational resources would be the human resources. So, human resource constitute a vital vein of any institutions. The human resource in the school system includes teachers, support staff in the school, students, parents, community members, and a host of other interests and social groups. So, the relevance of the human resource management or the HRM first is the recruitment and training. So, the HR managers come up with the plans and strategies for hiring the right kind of people. The second one is the performance appraisals. So, the HRM encourages the people working in an organization to work according to their potential and gives them suggestions that can help them to bring about improvement in an organization. So the third one is maintaining work atmosphere. So this is the vital aspect of HRM because the performance of an individual in an organization is largely driven by the work atmosphere or work culture that prevails in the workplace. So a good working condition is one of the benefits that the employees can expect from an efficient human resources team. A safe, clean, and healthy environment can bring out the best in an employees. The fourth one is managing disputes. So conflicts are almost inevitable in an organization. In school, there are several issues on which disputes may arise between the employees and the employers. So, in such a scenario, it is the Human Resource Department which acts as a consultant and mediator to sort out those issues in an effective manner. So, they first hear the grievances of the employees, then they come up with the suitable solutions to sort them out. In other words, so they take timely action and prevent things from going out of hand. So the last one is the developing of public relations. So the sole responsibility of the HRM is establishing good public relations with a great extent. So they organize business meetings, seminars, and various official gatherings on behalf of the school in order to build up relationships with other sectors of the economy. Any organization without a proper setup of HRM is bound to suffer from serious problems while managing its regular activities. The fifth classification of educational resources is Information and Communication or ICT resources. These are the vital resources in any establishment, more particularly for planning, policy making, and decision making. The purpose of ICT is to diverse a set of technological tools and resources used to communicate and to create, disseminate, store, and manage information. So these technologies include computers, internet, broadcasting technologies, radio and television, teleprompter, and telephony. So, apart from enabling the public to be aware of the existence, activities, and products of any organization, information and communication serves as means of getting the feedback from the public and consumers. So, relevance of the ICT resources. So, first, the use of ICTs help improve the quality of education. So, ICTs can enhance the quality of education in several ways by increasing learner motivation and engagement, by facilitating the acquisition of basic skills, and by enhancing teacher training. Second, sharing knowledge. So, students can use ICT to present their work in highly professional format. And third, ICTs help prepare individuals for the workplace. So, prepare the current generations of students for a workplace. Fourth, access to remote learning resources. So, teachers and learners no longer have to rely solely on printed books and other materials in physical media house or in libraries. And the fifth one is the processing of. They may need to carry out calculation example using Microsoft Excel, or to check the grammar using any spelling in a piece of writing using the Microsoft Word. And for the sequence of events or the presentation, they could use the Microsoft PowerPoint or the Microsoft Slide. The sixth classification would be community resources. They are both human and non-human materials that are within the geographical milieu of teachers and learners. So, the community has resources ranging from religious resources such as mosques, churches, and shrines. The commercial banks such as the Union Bank, the Unity Bank, etc. Historical places such as palace, zoo, museums, water bodies such as sea, oceans, lakes, rivers, and ponds, and landscape, rocks, and mountains. The seventh classification of educational resources will be fundamental supporting resources. So, it may appear trivial, but their non-availability can wreak havoc in a school system. They include calendars, journals, periodicals, reference books, year planner, consumable items, cabinet files, etc. So the problems associated with resource availability and utilization: shortage of funds. So this could account for the poor performance of administrators of academic institutions. Then the second one would be the political issues. So the politicians have hijacked resources allocated to education, and thus their priorities were not directed towards the system. So this had culminatedly in efficiency in the system. So the third one is misuse of the school facilities. School personnel could misuse the physical and material facilities in the school, either intentionally, ignorantly, or due to the lack of technical know-how. So the fourth one would be poor management. Some administrators or of institutions are not left out from mismanagement acts and corrupt. So corrupt attitude as regards to funds allocated to their institutions. So filtering school facilities, lack of maintenance, and proper inventory are all managerial problems associated with the availability and utilization of resources. The fifth one is ineffective school leadership. Some school administrators lack the capacity to command absolute leadership responsiveness from subordinates due to inexperience. And the sixth one is supply of substandard educational resources. So corruption in the system has on some instances encouraged the supply of substandard resources to the schools. And then the seventh one is inadequate facilities. So school facilities are the material resources that facilitate effective teaching and learning in schools. The state of infrastructural decay and conducive environment lacking the basic materials and thus hinder the fulfillment of educational objectives. And the last one is the low staff morale. Examinations and many more seem to suggest that teachers have not been performing their job as expected. So to get an overview and see what you're working with, so these are the problems that we usually encountered in a school. So in every organization naman, we have different problems, but mostly then included those things. We have the ways to manage the resources in an organization. So first, we have to get an overview and see what you're working with. So one simple way strategy is for more improving of an organizational resources management is to get an overview of the resources you have to work with. That way, you can not only see the available resources, but you can select the best available resources. An overview will also give you a better understanding of upcoming commitments and potential bottlenecks. So looking ahead can help you spot other projects that might conflict with your current ones, or even see other happenings such as planned company events or public holidays. So the second one is create a stronger team by defining and sharing company goals. So articulating these objectives with the entire team, not only does this help create an environment of trust, but it can foster more open communication and allow for more honest feedback about how to achieve your goal or your aims. The last one is optimize department resource allocation. So engage in some resource management best practices such as resource leveling or smoothing, and reallocate the resources from less busy teams to projects that have a closer deadline or teams with less helping hands. So also be sure to keep an eye on resource utilization and watch that no one is being over or underworked. So we have different resource management strategies and techniques. So first, we have the resource planning. So resource planning refers to the overall idea of making informed decisions about where to place resources in order for your business model to run efficiently. So this is the strategy that can make your resource management more effectively. So the second one is the risk management. So Unexpected events that crop up during a project execution are some of the most serious challenges associated with resource management. So, by tallying the possible risks before a project begins, considering the individual tasks, and developing a risk management plan, it is possible to smooth out some of the bumps that causes problems. So, consider some of the risks that the companies often faces for their day-to-day operations. Includes the power outage in the office, employee calling in sick, missed project deadlines, associated companies going out of business, and sometimes the human errors. So, the risk management involves identifying the kinds of risks that a project may face and allowing for flexible resource allocation as needed in order to stop this risk from derailing a project entirely. The third one is estimating and forecasting. Efficient resource allocation often requires that managers and owners understand exactly how much of a given resource or a project will need. So this kind of knowledge is only available after the project has been completed. So this is wherein estimating and forecasting come in. So accurate estimates of the resource demands of a particular project or a task can help a company to inform its resource management strategy. Estimates are rarely going to be 100% accurate. However, by evaluating past estimates against actual resource requirements and asking employees to document their resource usage thoroughly, it is possible to hone your forecasting process and understand your resource needs more clearly. And the fourth one strategy is resource leveling. So resource leveling, also known as the resource smoothing, this is the process of reallocating resources to avoid underutilization and prevent burnout. For example, if one team is finishing its project ahead of schedule while the other is lagging behind and becoming stressed, so resource leveling will involve shifting some of the underworked team's labor over to the delayed project. So by doing this, you could ensure that your labor is being used efficiently while avoiding resource over allocation. So we're done with the managing resources. So let's move on to the managing the environment. As you can see on my graphic organizer, we have different types of environment. We have the internal environment, we have the task environment, and the general environment. We're going to detail what are the meanings and what are the elements under of these types of environment. But first, let us define what is organizational environment. So, organizational environments are composed of forces or institutions surrounding an organization that affect performance, operations, and resources. It includes all of the elements that exist outside of the organization's boundaries and have the potential to affect a portion of all the organization. So, not only the inside but within the organizations, inside or outside of the organization could mainly affect the environments or the organizational environments. We have different types of organizational environment. So the first one is the internal environment, or we call it microenvironment, and then the second one is the external environment, or we call it macro environment. And then the external environment could be divided into general environment and industry environment. So we have the internal environment of organizations. So forces or conditions or surroundings within the boundary of the organization. We have different elements of internal environment. We have the owners and shareholders, board of directors, employees or the workforce, the organizational culture, resource of the organization, and the organization's image or goodwill. Of the internal environment would be the owners and shareholders. So these are the people who invested in the company and have property rights and claims on the organization. So owners can be an individual or group of person who started the company or who bought a share of the company in the share market. So they have the right to change the company's policies at any time. Owners play an important role in influencing the affairs of the business. This is the reason why managers should take more care of the owners of their organizations. The second one is the board of directors. So the board of directors is the governing body of the company who is elected by the stockholders, and they are given the responsibility for overseeing a firm's top managers such as the general manager. So the boards of director is one of the important part, or usually these are the one that is leading. Another element of internal environment is employees or the workforce. This is the most important element of an organization's internal environment, which performs the task of the administration. So individual employees and also the labor unions, they join one of the important parts of the internal environment. If managed properly, they can be positively change the organization's policy, but the ill management of the workforce could lead to a catastrophic situation for the company. The fourth one is the organizational culture. This is the collective behavior of members of an organization and the values, visions, beliefs, habits that they attach to their actions. So an organization's culture plays a major role in shaping its success because the culture is an important determinant of how well the organization will perform. A strong culture helps a firm achieve its goals better than a firm having weak culture. So culture in an organization develops and blossoms over many years, starting from the practices of the founders. The fifth element of internal environment is resources of the organization. So an organization's resources can be discussed under 5 broad heads. So the physical resources, the human resources, financial resources, informational resources, and technological resources that I've discussed to you earlier. So I will never explain it to you, no. So the examples of these are the office buildings, the computers, furniture, fans, and the air conditioners. So the 6 organization's image or the goodwill. So the reputation of an organization is very valuable, intangible asset. High reputation or goodwill develops a favorable images of the organization in the minds of the public. No reputation cannot create any positive image. A negative image destroys the organization's efforts to attract customers in a competitive world. We're done with the internal environment. So let's move on to external environment of an organization. So this consists of the entities, conditions, events, and factors surrounding the organization that influence choices and activities and determine its opportunities and threats. The external environment can be subdivided into 2 layers. So the general environment and the task or the industry environment. General environment, it usually includes political, economic, social, cultural, technological, legal, environmental, or the natural and demographic factors in a particular country or region. It consists of factors that may have an immediate direct effect on operations but influences the activities of the I am going to use the PESTEL analysis or the PESTEL. P stands for political, E stands for economic, S stands for social, and then the T is for technological, E is for environmental, and L for legal. So, what is PESTEL analysis? This is a framework or tool used to analyze and monitor the macro environmental factors that may have a profound impact on an organization's performance. So this tool is especially useful when starting a new business or entering a foreign market. The external environment consists of an organization external factors that affect in business indirectly. So the organization has no or little control over these factors. That means that the external environment is generally non-controllable. So the different elements of general external environment. First, the political factors. It refers to the business-government relationship and the overall political situation of a country. So a good business-government relationship is essential to the economy and most importantly for the business. The government of a country intervenes in the national economy through setting policies, rules for business. In our country, we see many such policies. So, the import policy, export policy, taxation policy, investment policy, consumer protection policy, and so on and so forth. For the second one, the economic factor, it is the overall status of the economic system in which the organization operates. The important economic factors for business are inflation, interest rates, and unemployment. So, when interest rates are high, customers are less willing to borrow money and the company itself must pay for more when it borrows. So, when unemployment is high, the company can be very selective in hiring, but customers' buying power is low as fewer people are working. So, a country's economic conditions affect market attractiveness. The performance of a business organization is affected by the health of a nation's economy. The third one is socio-cultural factors. So, customs, mores, values, and demographic characteristics of the society in which the organization operates include culture, lifestyle changes, social mobility, attitudes towards technology, and people's values, opinions, beliefs, etc. are part of the socio-cultural factors. So the socio-cultural dimension must be studied by a manager. It indicates the product, services, and standards of conduct that society is likely to value and appreciate. The general external environment will be the technological factors. So it denotes to the methods available for converting resources into products or services. So include information technology, the internet, biotechnology, global transfer of technology, and so forth. So technological changes substantially affects firms' operation in many ways. So the advancement of industrialization in any country depends mostly on the technological environment. So technology have major effects on product development, manufacturing efficiencies, and potential competition. So the business organization facing problems with changing technology are always in more difficulties than those organizations that have stable technologies. The effects of technology changes occur primarily through new products, processes, and materials. An entire industry may be transformed or revitalized due to the use of new technology. The another elements would be the legal factors. So it consists of laws and regulatory frameworks in a country. Many laws regulate the business operations of enterprises such as the Factories Act, Industrial Relations Ordinance, the Contract Act, and the Company Law, just to name a. Business laws primarily protect companies from unfair competition and also protect consumers from unfair business practices. So, business laws also protect society at large. The laws regarding a merger, acquisitions, industry regulation, employment conditions, unionization, workmen's compensation, and the like affect a firm's strategy. Even globalization has caused significant repercussions in the legal environment. So, another elements will be the environmental natural factors. So, strategy makers need to analyze the trends in the natural environment of the country where it is operating its business, include the availability of raw materials and other inputs, changes in the cost of energy, levels of environmental pollution, and the changing role of government in environmental protection. So, changes in physical and natural environment such as global warming will heavily affect our daily lives and the functioning of organizations with a variety of consequences. So, aside from the elements, I added two demographic factors and the international factors. So when we say demographic factors, it is related to the population size, age structure, geographic distribution, ethnic mix, and income distribution. In many countries, rural-urban migration is rampant. This trend suggests numerous opportunities for firms to develop products and services to meet the needs of the diversified groups of people in society. While international factors, it refers to the degree to which an organization is involved in or affected by business in other countries. So, global society concept has brought all the nations together. A modern network of communication and transportation technology. Almost every part of the world is connected. So, in overall, general external environmental factors are interrelated with organizational success. Therefore, strategy makers need to analyze all of them in an interrelated fashion to understand and visualize the whole of the environment. We're done with the internal and external. The external is the general part. Now let's move on to another division of external. We have the industry environment. So it consists of those factors in the external environment that exist in the industry in which the organizations operate their business. The industry environmental factors are generally more controllable by a firm than the general environmental factors. So, as you can see on my graphic organizers, elements of industry or task environment would be suppliers, customers and buyers, competitors and new entrants, regulators, substitute products, strategic partners. Let's go into detail in my next slide. So the first element of the industry or task environment will be the suppliers. Suppliers, providers of production or service materials, sources of resources such as raw materials, components, equipment, financial support services, and office supplies. So, a good relationship between the organization and the supplier is important for an organization to keep a steady following of quality input materials. Though the second one is the customers and buyers. Satisfaction of customer, the primary goal of every organization. Managers should pay close attention to the customer's dimension of the task environment because it's consumer purchase that keeps a company alive and sound. So while constructing a customer profile, managers need to use information regarding geographic location of customers, demographic characteristics of buyers, and psychographic issues and buyer behavior. So another element would be competitors and new entrants. Competitive market companies are always trying to stay and go further ahead of their competitors. A competitor profile may include such variables as market share, product line, the effectiveness of sales distribution, price competitiveness in advertising, and promotion effectiveness, location and age of the facility, production capacity, raw material cost, and financial position, etc. So a firm needs to analyze the competitive intensity in the industry. It needs to understand the competitive position in the industry to improve its chance of designing winning strategies. The new entrants are the upcoming competitors of the firm. they are potential competitors because when they enter the industry with similar types of products, the competitive intensity increases. The fourth one is the regulators. These are the units in the task environment that have the authority to control, regulate, or influence an organization's policies and practices. So, government agencies are the main player in the environment and interest groups that are created by its member. To attempt to influence organization as well as the government, trade unions and other chamber of commerce are common examples of the interest group. So the next element will be the substitute products. This is the indirect competitors. Serve the same categories of customers. They can meet the similar needs of the customers and therefore emerge as threats. So, for example, when the detergent powder is capable of meeting customer needs in a much better way or even in the same way as the laundry soap does, the detergent powder becomes a strong indirect competitor of the laundry soap. The last one is the strategic partners. They are the organization and individuals with whom the organization is to an agreement or understanding for the benefit of the organization. So, in analyzing the industry or the task environment, I'm going to use the Porter's 5 forces analysis. This is the framework that helps analyzing the level of competition within a certain industry. According to this framework, competitiveness does not only come from competitors, rather, the state of competition in an industry depends on 5 basic forces. These are the trade of nutrients, bargaining powers, power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, and threat of the substitute products or services and existing industry. Rivalry. So here are the examples or the 5 forces, the Porter's analysis, framework of analysis. So first we have the threat of new entrants. So the barriers to entry, the economies of scale, the brand loyalty, the capital requirements, cumulative experience, the government policies, access to distribution channels, and switching costs. These are the threat for the new entrants in a organization or in a business. So second, the bargaining power of the buyers. So bargaining the power of buyers should be the number of the customers, size of each customer order, differences between competitors, price sensitivity, buyers' ability to substitute, buyers' information availability, and switching costs. Next, we have the threat of substitute products. So we have the number of substitute products available, buyer propensity to substitute, relative price performance of substitute. We have perceived level of product differentiation and switching costs. And for the bargaining power of suppliers, we have number of size of the suppliers, uniqueness of each supplier's product, and focal company's ability to substitute. And for the rivalry among existing competitors, we should know the number of competitors, diversity of competitors, industry concentration, industry growth, quality differences, brand loyalty, barriers to exit, switching cost. This is the framework of the Porter's analysis. We have 8 expert tips to have a healthy company environment. And first on the list is the build trust. You can build trust by owning up to mistakes, showing compassion, making amends, and focusing on action. Second, communication. It's one of the cornerstone of any healthy and effective work environment. Remember the guidelines during the interview. So people won't tell you the whole truth until they feel connected to you. Ask easy questions first. people communicate with stories, be empathetic, follow emotional cues to problems, and never make assumptions. The third one is empower team members. So, according to the research, having empowered employees is the dream of any leader. So, to achieve this task, you have to foster open communications. You've hopefully already done this, but giving employees structured ways to make their thoughts, feeling, and observation known easily and regularly. Second, reward self-improvement. So provide employees with plan for growth and reward them when they do. Encourage safe failure. Give employees an area where they can learn to fail without putting the company in danger, and provide plenty of context. As a leader, you should be able to share your knowledge, vision, so that the employee clearly understand the core values, purpose, direction of the company, and can easily make consistent decision and take appropriate action at any junction. Clearly define roles. Make sure that you establish specific roles and responsibilities for employees. Require accountability. Team members have to be aware of when they have met expectations as well as when they have not. Support their independence. Let employees do their own thing even if they fail. Appreciate their efforts. Employees aren't just it for the paycheck. They want to be appreciated, so saying thank you and celebrate accomplishments. The fourth one is the be flexible. You want to be your workplace to be more flexible, you should plan out a strategy, give it trial, make communication a priority, realize that not all employees are flexible, and train managers to be able to manage flexible workers. Fifth, offer rewards, incentives, and benefits. 70% of the employees say meaningful recognition has no dollar value. So how can you motivate employees in the workplace? So by giving bonuses, incentives, rewards. Then promote wellness. Wellness programs are linked to greater productivity, less absenteeism, and a reduction of long-term health care costs. So you can make it by promoting preventive care, offer on on-site flu vaccination, for example, encourage exercise, create an active campus, or offer discounted membership in a gym, emphasize education, recruit experts to express the importance of being healthy, and bring the doctor in, offer an on-site health clinic. So the seventh one would be have some fun. So research have proven that companies with happy workers experience more productivity, less turnover rates, fewer 6 days, and higher profitability. And number 8, workplace by design. You can design a workplace that boosts productivity and reduces stress, noise, lack of privacy, poor lighting, poor ventilation, for temperature control, or inadequate sanitary facilities can create a stressful work environment. So to prevent a stressful work environment, make sure that you add a personal touch to your workplace, keep your workplace clean and organized, and you can add plants, use natural tools to keep you calm. Here are the references for my presentation. Before I end up my presentation, I want you to give the quotation from Do Conant. To win the marketplace, you must first win the workplace. So, before attaining the goal of an organization, before managing everything, it is a must that your workplace would be safe, clean, and healthy. So to remove all the negativity or the stress on your workplace. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.